Yeah, talking about the big check, let's kind of talk about that. I'm going to go against Chris Voss. Something he always said. He's like,
The
I think his book is
never
never.
split the difference.
Yeah,
That
never
that
split the
guy.
difference. Yeah,
Yep.
Chris Voss. So he always says, you never use the F word when negotiating, and that's fair. But how would you go about negotiating a fair price for
Yep.
a boat? Hey there, sorry to take you away from the video, but real quick, did you know that on average a boat owner will spend between $1,000 and $5,000 a year just on servicing their engine? And you could actually pocket and save a lot of that money if you would just do the service yourself. It might seem like a daunting task, but I guarantee you virtually everyone can do it with our guidance and the Boaters program. This is just one skill that you could learn inside the program because we have hundreds of other videos teaching you all kinds of boating skills, as well as a weekly live stream where we have questions and answers with me, as well as a chat feature where you can send videos and pictures, ask all kinds of questions, or look for some advice or some guidance on a project that you're doing on your boat. You can join the program by hitting the first link in the description, clicking join, or visiting bornagainboating.com. Now back to the video.
It depends on if you're dealing with a dealer or you're dealing with a private seller. So here's why I say that. If I'm dealing with a dealer, some of the value they bring is in the relationship and their knowledge. So I don't want to beat them up so much that they're like, forget that guy. He's a jerk and we're not going to help him out because that happens. So, but I do want you to get a fair deal. I want you to get a great deal. As a matter of fact, I've got a program called the Magic Money Saving Method on how to negotiate, but I'll give you some of the content there. The first thing you need to know is what's the real market value for that boat. So you can do that by going to it's now JD Powers. They bought them, but it used to be called NADA, which is basically the value book that banks use in the boating world. So you can go online and it's going to give you an average price. So here's what average means: is there were a bunch of boats that were more expensive than that, and there were a bunch of boats that were less expensive than that. But if it's average condition, average hours, average use, average options, that's what people are paying. Start there. If the boat's super clean, lower hours, well, then you're probably going to need to be a little bit more. If the boat is a project boat, it needs some work and it's rough, I probably would walk away from it, right? Unless you're a project boat guy, then that you shouldn't worry about the less unless you know that's what you're after. So you're probably going to pay a little bit more than average price, but I'm going to try to get the average price. Like if I can get it at average, I did really, really, really well. And it's most of the times they price it. And if you subscribe and pay JD Powers thousands of dollars a year, you get the high retail price, like what the top boats are selling for in top condition. It's usually 10, 15, maybe 20% more depending on the age of the boat. The less expensive the boat, the more it's like 20% because there's a bigger gap from a newer boat. So I'm looking at that. I'm going to Boat Trader and I'm looking, what are boats listed at that are like this? Keep in mind, trailers add thousands of dollars to the value. Horsepower difference between a 200 and a 270 or 250 could be a couple $1,000s. Electronics, T-tops, wake towers, those can be big needle movers. But when you're building out in JD Powers, you can add options. Like don't add stereo, don't add canvas cover. The average boat has all that stuff, so don't double dip and bring that price up unnecessarily. And so I'm using that as a guide. And if I'm making an offer, I'm going to probably offer something slightly less than average because I don't want them to accept my first offer, but I also don't want to be insulting where they're like, forget it. You're not serious about buying it. It's listed at 50,000, average retails 40, let's say 42. If you come in at 30, they're going to be like, you're not even serious. I'm not continuing this conversation. But if I come in at 40, now it's like, I'm not insulted, but I'm like, no, I don't think so. But you can start the conversation.
Right.
The question I really like is, and I don't know if Chris teaches this, but it's something better. It's something along those lines is, hey, can you do any better? can you do any better than that?
Mm-hmm.
And just see what they say. A lot of times they'll say, well, yeah, I can. Because when you list a boat, you're like, this is when you're doing, if you've ever done this before, selling a car or selling something on Facebook Marketplace, you're sitting there thinking, well, I would take this for it, but I would really like this.
Yep.
But I see one that's listed at that. And so you list it way higher than what you would actually take. And there's usually some room there. So you start off low, you let them come back and forth. Hey, is that the best you can do? And typically that's going to get you another concession, but it's real friendly. It's real nice. It's real easy.
Mm-hmm.
And that can work real well. Another one that works well is, they come back and they say 45 and you want it at 42. Like, how am I supposed to do that? I think that's directly from
that's Chris Voss for sure.
Yeah. How am I supposed to do that? And just like, it's amazing how well it works. I get emails all the time from buyers that say, I use your method, and they just right out of the gate knock $2,500 off. Like, I don't know why it's always $2,500, but that seems to be a pretty consistent number that that they drop. And again, if it's with a dealer, I want to keep it friendly. I want to keep that relationship. If it's with a private individual, they've got one boat and there's no reason to be fair. It's kind of a winner takes all situation.
Yeah.
And so it's just be aggressive as you can. But the key is, I would rather pay an extra $1,000 and get the right boat that's in good condition, that doesn't have any issues that I'm not aware of, and I know exactly what I'm buying.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, every boat has issues. So just know that within the next year, you're going to have to spend $1,000 to a couple $1,000s on something that you just have to. Like, you would never found it. It wasn't broken at the time, but it's on its way to failure. So just budget that in if you're buying a used boat, that something, I don't know what, and I made sure it wasn't a big thing, but something's going to happen that I'm going to have to address, and be ready for it because it's coming.
Yeah, there's wear and tear items on everything. I mean, the batteries are going to need to be replaced at some time. There's a couple $100 for each battery. The trailers need constant work, whether that's trailer lights, the leaf springs, the hubs, the tires, the winches, the jacks, like all that stuff. The canvases wear out. You got to put a new canvas on there. The seat cushions go out. You got new upholstery. Like, there's always going to be a live well pump goes bad. The bilge pump goes bad. Your nav light goes, like, there's always wear and tear items. So every year be conscious that at some, well, I 4 years ago I did my boat battery, so I'm pretty close to. I'm going to need to throw another $500-600 in my batteries in this boat, depending on how many you got. So definitely that. See, I didn't realize that. I was going to ask you about the NADA like guidelines, and is there that for the boating world? And so I get, JD Power is the place to go to kind of figure that out, because between that and Boat Trader and boats.com and Facebook Marketplace, once you pick out the type of boat that you want, or the style or whatever, you go rent the boat, you like, I want this boat. Now you can start your shopping experience of like, I want the 2016 to 2020 21-foot XYZ boat with this much power on it. Now you can look at them, and now all of a sudden you've got, here's all the options out there. And as you watch that market, you'll kind of get a gain of like, well, with these amenities, they go for this, these amenities, they go for this one's going to go quick. And as soon as you see that deal, you already know what makes it a deal. And now you can get the actual, let's not call it the dream boat, but like the boat you are going to be the most happy with. You're going to be able to get that because you've got it. You did all the work, which that work that you put in now, and to get that fair deal is now going to give you years of joy and experience, as opposed to years of the headaches and aches and pains and $10,000 every year.
Yeah. Cause the wrong decision, even at the best price, like I'm sure you've heard it said, like the most expensive boat you can get is a free boat.
Oh yeah.
A free boat is like, it's got issues, but you have no idea how major the issues are and
Mm-hmm.
how much it costs to fix things if you can't do it yourself. Even if you can do it yourself, some of the stuff is crazy expensive. But if you have to hire labor, I mean, I don't know what labor rates are down there, but around here, 150 to $200 an hour
Yep.
for work on your boat. A major project that adds up awfully quick. And I know up in Seattle, I know down in Florida, it can be even more expensive than that.
Oh yeah, we're 175 to 250, and some places could be a little bit more depending on
Yeah.
your boat, what needs done, like what is,
Yeah.
do you have this engine on this boat and it's a special engine that needs a special technician to work on it? That is now becoming a thing where, you've got special $250 an hour technicians to work on stuff, and it could
Yep,
definitely
for sure.
definitely pop up there. So if you like this clip, you can watch the full podcast over here, or you can watch another clip over here.